Muktaka trayam by Sri Nandakumarji. We begin with the prayer.
Dakshinamurti Sarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vangmayam Aharyam Chandra
आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय नमो रमण.
एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वम् चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो देहं ब्रह्मय जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्टात्मनष्टात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया
now have the chanting of Upadesa Saram by Uma and Ashwini.
नमो रमण वायुरोधना लीयते मना जालपक्षिवद्रोदसादनम् चित्तवायव चित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका लयविनाशने उभयरोधने लयगतं पुनर्भवति नोऽमृतम् प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तना नाशमेत्यद नष्टमानसो उत्कृष्टयोगिना कृत्यमस्ति किं स्वस्तितिं यथा दृश्यवारितं चित्तमात्मना चित्वदर्शनं तत्त्वदर्शनं मानसं तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्ग आर्जवात् वृत्तयस्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विद्यहं मना अहमयं कुतो भवति चिन्वत ऐपतत्यहं निजविचारणम् अहमिनाशभाज्यहमहन्तय स्फुरति स्वयं परमपूर्णस नमो रमण
Namo Ramana. We will now be presenting two songs from Ramananjali Sangeetam. The first one will be by Dr. Pratibha. The second song will be by Revathi Sankar.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Tomorrow is the beginning of Margali season and is considered very auspicious for both Shaivites and Vaishnavites. And of course, for Ramana devotees, it is doubly auspicious as Arunachala Ramana came down to earth in this human form on 30th December 1879 as the Jagat Guru. Of course, any moment that we remember or hold Bhagwan, turn our mind inwards to take refuge at the feet of Bhagwan is at most auspicious. Tirumanika Vachagar, one of the great Shaivite saints, composed Tiruvambavai in praise of Lord Shiva. In the same style, Muruganar Swami has composed 32 Tiruvambavai songs in praise of Bhagavan Ramana. While in Tiruvambavai Annamalai Ramanan, Muruganar Swami says, Bhagwan Ramana's eyes pours rain of compassion. But in this Tiruvambavai, he compares Bhagwan Ramana's glance to a sword. We are all aware of Bhagwan showing utmost compassion to one and all, both humans and animals alike, and also devotees having spiritual experience just from that single powerful glance of Bhagwan. In this Tiruvambavai, Muruganar Swami says, Bhagwan Ramana, through his sword-sharp glance, kills the ego, which is non-existent but conjoined with the Jiva life force. He is the true being, without learning, learnt the truth, sustains everything and teaches in wordless silence, bright and clear. Sing the praise of Venkata and bathe in this coolness, sweetness, bliss. And Sulochana Mami has set beautiful music and Chiteswaras for each of these Tiruvambavais, and all these Tiruvambavais have been uploaded onto YouTube by Revathi and made into a very beautiful video version with a lot of Bhagwan's pictures in it. Anybody interested can always go to Ramanacentre, Bengaluru Ramanacentre on YouTube and watch any of those or listen to it. அல்லாத ஆணவம்சே ஆருயிரை வாழ்விலிய கொல்லாதே கொன்றே கொழுத்துமை ஞானத்தான் அல்லாத ஆணவம்சே ஆருயிரை வாழ்விலிய கொல்லாதே கொன்றே கொழுத்துமை ஞானத்தான் இல்லாதே உள்ளன போல் தோற்றும் எல்லாவற்றுக்கும் இல்லாத தோற்றி உளதாகும் செம்பொருளான் இல்லாதே உள்ளன போல் தோற்றும் எல்லாவற்றுக்கும் இல்லாத தோற்றி உளதாகும் செம்பொருளான் கல்லாதே கற்றினந்து கல்வி போருள் தன்னை சொல்லாதே சொல்லி துலக்கமொழிர் மோனத்தான் கல்லாதே கற்றினந்து கல்வி போருள் தன்னை சொல்லாதே சொல்லி துலக்கமொழிர் மோனத்தான் பொல்லாமணிரமணன் போகமெல்லாம் நங்கருள வல்லானடி வாழ்த்தி வாழேலோர் எம்பாவாய் பொல்லாமணிரமணன் போகமெல்லாம் நங்கருள வல்லானடி வாழ்த்தி வாழேலோர் எம்பாவாய் சனி ரம பமகரி சரி கம ததனி நிச தனி சரி கம தனி ரேணி ரேணி சதனி தம பமகரி சனி தம பம சனி தம பமகரி சரி கம ததனி நிச தனி சரி கம தனி ரேணி ரேணி சதனி தம பமகரி சனி தம பம அல்லாத ஆணவம்சே ஆருயிரை வாழ்விலிய கொல்லாதே கொன்றே கொழுத்துமை ஞானத்தான் ரமணன் 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 ஞானத்தான் ரமணன் ரமணன் ஞானத்தான் ரமணன் ரமணன் நமோ ரமண.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. As Pratibha said, we are entering into the month of Margazhi from tomorrow. So, since Pratibha has presented Ramana Tiruvambavai written by Muruganar Swami, I would like to present Ramana Yempavai written by Sadhuam Swami. Similar to Muruganar Swami, Sadhuam Swami has written Yempavai. Ramana Tirupavai, not Ramana Tirupavai. Tirupavai is sung by Andal to Lord Vishnu. All the ladies, her friends and herself, get up early in the morning every day, go to the river side, have a bath, and then go and see Vishnu at the end of the Margazhi. With all the devotion, they all get into the self. Andal merges into Lord Vishnu when the right time has come. Likewise, Sadhuam Swami has written Ramana Yempavai, where he says, "Oh sweet girls, wake up and get back to the self, which is Ramana." I would like to present the first Ramana Yempavai. This says, "The form of fire, which cannot be approached by Brahma and Vishnu, the mighty one who happily accepted the deer, the axe, and the fire as symbols of Shiva, taking I am in the human form, appeared graciously in the world, walking with the flowery feet, which could not be seen even by the Vedas. To destroy the feeling that fleshy mind is I, our Lord Ramana, Gurunatha, who has settled at the southern slopes of Arunachala, let us bathe in the happiness of Atman and enjoy, O my sweet girl. Presenting to you Ramana Pavai. நான்முகனும் மாலுமே நன்னாழலுருவன் மான்மழுவும் மங்கி மகிழ்ந்தேற்ற வல்லாளன் நான்முகனும் மாலுமே நன்னாழலுருவன் மான்மழுவும் மங்கி மகிழ்ந்தேற்ற வல்லாளன் கோன்றமணன் 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 நான்முகனும் மாலுமே நன்னாழலுருவன் மான்மழுவும் மங்கி மகிழ்ந்தேற்ற வல்லாளன் தானெனவே மானிடனாய் தாரணியில் வந்தருளி தானெனவே மானிடனாய் தாரணியில் வந்தருளி வான்மறைகள் காணா மலரடிகளால் உலவி வான்மறைகள் காணா மலரடிகளால் உலவி தானெனவே மானிடனாய் தாரணியில் வந்தருளி வான்மறைகள் காணா மலரடிகளால் உலவி உன்மனமேயாமாய் உணர்வே உணர்வழிய தேன் பொழியும் சோணமலை தென்சாரல் மேவியனம் உன்மனமேயாமாய் உணர்வே உணர்வழிய தேன் பொழியும் சோணமலை தென்சாரல் மேவியனம் கோன்றமணன் 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 உன்மனமேயாமாய் உணர்வே உணர்வழிய தேன் பொழியும் சோணமலை தென்சாரல் மேவியனம் கோன்றமணன் ஞானகுரு நாதன் தாழடியில் கோன்றமணன் ஞானகுரு நாதன் தாழடியில் ஆன்மசுக தென்னீர் பாய்ந்தாடேலோதியம் பாவாய் ஆன்மசுக தென்னீர் பாய்ந்தாடேலோரியம் பாவாய் கோன்றமணன் ஞானகுரு நாதன் தாழடியில் ஆன்மசுக தென்னீர் பாய்ந்தாடேலோரியம் பாவாய் ஆடேலோரியம் பாவாய் ஆடேலோரியம் பாவாய் ஆடேலோரியம் பாவாய். Namo Ramana. We will now have reading and sharing from the book Ramana's Muruganar by Sri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we continue to read from Ramana's Muruganar, a birth centenary offering compiled and edited by our founder president, Shri A.R. Natarajanji. We have come to those segments by Kanakamal. The first contribution is the Kanakamal. We have come to those segments where Kanakamal is writing about the works of Muruganar Swamigal, Ramana Sannidhi Murai, Guru Vachaka Kovai, and Ramana Puranam, Shri Ramana Puranam inside Ramana Sannidhi Murai, Ramana Deva Malai, Ramana Sharana Pallandu, Ramananubhuti, Ramana Jnana Bodham. We have completed till commentary on Aksharamanamalai. We finished by reading Aksharamanamalai is generally regarded as a piece of literature soaked in devotion. As such, it is used for daily reading and for singing. Thanks to Muruganar's commentary, one can now see it as equally sacred as a work in the path of Jnana. Muruganar's commentary is really beyond words to describe. As such, it is used as daily reading and for singing. Thanks to Muruganar's commentary, one can now see it equally sacred as a work in the path of Jnana, of knowledge. One is able to grasp the true meaning of Bhagavan's utterances, enabling one to make full use of it in life. This work was dedicated, the Aksharamanamalai commentary was dedicated to Arunachaleshwara by Muruganar in June 1944, but it remained only as a manuscript till 1952 when it was published for the first time by Sri Ramanashram. We go on to the next work, Sri Ramananubhuti. This work is in two parts. It was composed while Bhagavan was in the body. Due to his failing health, it was not given to him for perusal. However, he had seen some of the poems in it. This is how Bhagavan came to hear some of them. Once, when Bhagavan was seated in the new hall in front of the Madhurabudheshwara temple, one devotee, Brahadambal, sang 33 poems. When Bhagavan asked her about it, she said naively that it was from a chapter titled Ramana Alankara. Turning to Muruganar, because he has not yet been shown those verses because of Bhagavan's ill health. Turning to Muruganar, Bhagavan said, "Are you decorating me with these words? Enakku alankaram seigiriro?" Muruganar was simply overwhelmed with emotion. Muruganar was a born poet. For him, his service to Bhagavan, his mode of expression of boundless love, was through his poetry. The flow was endless and the beauty was special as it sprang from experience of union with Bhagavan. This is most noticeable in this work being Ramana Anubhuti, the experience of the union with Ramana. This is most noticeable in this work, for we find he writes about the inexpressible joy of experiencing Ramana's presence. As he describes himself, he is the honeybee. Muruganar is the honeybee, never tired of sucking the honey from the fountainhead of knowledge, his silent teacher, Ramana. I'll read that again. He, Muruganar, is the honeybee, never tired of sucking the honey from the fountainhead of knowledge, his silent teacher, Ramana. So the whole work is filled with the auspicious aroma of Sadguru's, the Sadguru's presence. For many years, this work, that is Ramananubhuti, for many years this work remained as a manuscript until some admirers of Muruganar from Melai Sivapuri in Chettinad took the initiative. They came forward to fund it. Professor K. Swaminathan readily agreed to print the same through Dharmalayam publications and Ramana Bhakta Sabha. There is no work of Muruganar in which the hand of Ramana Padananda is not there. It was his tireless effort which has ensured accuracy and perfection. Part 1 of Ramananubhuti was published in October 1960 and Part 2 in December 1961. Ramana Jnana Bodham. After meeting Ramana, there was a transformation in Muruganar's poetry. Not only did his poetry flow copiously, it acquired a new elevating spiritual dimension. As a result, he spontaneously came to compose more than 30,000 verses. Of these, 16,000 were published by Ramana Padananda, Sri Ramanashramam, and Ramana Bhakta Sabha. 14,000 still remain to be printed. This noble task is now taken up, the printing of the 14,000 verses, is now taken up by Ramanacentre, Delhi. All devotees of Ramana and the lovers of Tamil language are under a debt to this Ramanacentre for this service. These verses have been codified into 9 parts under the title Sri Ramana Jnana Bodham. Each part has been given an appropriate subtitle according to its contents. This labor of love was undertaken by Sri Sadhu. 6 parts have already been published. 3 more parts are under print. The first part was published in 1978. By then, Muruganar had attained Mahasamadhi. Since our founder president was associated closely with the formation of the Delhi Kendra also, he was aware of this seva being done through Delhi Kendra. The 40 verses, Ulladu Narpadu, is the next work taken up by Kanakumar. Ramana would never take the initiative in writing any work. Whatever we have is in response to the insistent request of devotees. It is only thanks to Muruganar's insistent request that we have Ulladu Narpadu, 40 verses on reality, Upadesa Saram, the essence of teaching, and Anma Vidya, the song of the self. The 3 works are Ulladu Narpadu, Upadesa Saram, and Anma Vidya. Ramana used to compose some verses whenever the mood came to him. It is said in the long introduction to Ulladu Narpadu that people would ask him to explain a verse from the scriptures or give the meaning of some of the verses. So at those times, he has either translated or created the meaning of those scriptural and other works asked of him, but they have not been collected. Ramana used to compose some verses whenever the mood came to him, when he was requested to give meaning or translation. By 1928, 21 such stray verses had been written by him. However, by their very nature, these verses had no central purpose. Why? Because they were asked randomly various doubts by various devotees who have come. Muruganar therefore requested Ramana to write down some more verses so that they could be aggregated to 40, dealing systematically with the subject of reality and the ways of attaining it. Ramana agreed, and in about 20 days, 40 verses on this subject, as also 2 invocatory verses, came to be written. When Ramana and Muruganar were arranging the verses, it was found that they did not fit into the thematic exposition of the subject, reality. So Muruganar would request Ramana to compose new ones in their place, and Ramana would never say no to it. When the work was finalized and arranged, a modern Upanishad on self-enquiry and self-knowledge emerged. We owe this spiritual boon, this delight to the seekers of truth, only to Muruganar's gentle persuasion. We owe this spiritual boon, this delight to the seekers of truth only to Muruganar's gentle persuasion. The original verses have also been retained and strung together as the supplement to 40 verses. The Ramana Ramana selected and translated some verses from the scriptures germane to this subject to make a total of 42 verses. Read together, the 40 verses and the supplement being Anubandham form an integral whole. Upadesa Undiya. For Muruganar, Ramana was the embodiment of all the gods and goddesses. His mind would never indulge in the thought of other gods. Hence, his ceaseless outpourings on a single subject, Bhagavan Ramana. Once Muruganar was affectionately invited by a group of devotees to join them on a pilgrimage to various sacred places. He told them, "What can I see elsewhere? The moment I met the son of knowledge, Ramana, my eyes have been blinded by his lustre. What can this blind man see in new places? One can readily see his single-minded devotion to Ramana. His spiritual eye had been opened by Ramana's grace." Muruganar's single-minded devotion to Bhagavan is also fully evidenced in his Tiruvundiya verses. In these verses, he enjoys all the Leelas, divine dramas of Shiva as only those of Ramana. Not content, he depicts the Leelas of other gods, Vishnu, Rama, Krishna, Brahma, Ganesha and Muruga, also as those of Bhagavan Ramana alone. He even goes a step further and depicts the incarnations of Buddha and Jesus Christ as those of Ramana. Having enjoyed to the brim Ramana's beauty in the forms of all the known gods, Muruganar casts him in the role of Shiva, the teacher of truth to the misguided sages of the Daruka forest. These sages were laboring under the illusion that performance of the rites described in the scriptures was the be-all and end-all of religion. The karma marga, where the phala is through the performance of those yajnas. These sages were laboring under the illusion that the performance of the rites prescribed in the scriptures was the be-all and end-all of religion. Ramana responded to Muruganar's request and composed 30 verses as Shiva's Upadesa to the sages. Consequently, we have the essence of scriptures composed by Ramana, the Upadesa Undiya, which forms an integral part of Muruganar's Undiya verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have completed the works part of Muruganar. The next subtitle is Bhagavan and Muruganar. We can continue to read in the coming weeks by Bhagavan's grace.
Uncle, I request Sri Nandakumarji to conduct the self-enquiry session for us.
Namo Ramana. For today's reading, before the practice of Atma Ucharam, let us take Guruvachaka Kovai randomly. We are in verse 811. This is in the segment Meditation on the Truth. The three segments of the book, apart from the prefatory verses, are Investigation into Truth, Meditation on the Truth, and Experience of the Truth. 811, we find under the subhead, Feeling Compassion for Living Beings. Feeling compassion for living beings. If the strong persecute the weak through their great might, the wise should realize that God, who tirelessly takes pity on the weak, will judge those acts of oppression and mete out appropriate punishment. It is the duty of the wise to act with compassion towards the oppressed. If the strong persecute the weak through their great might, the wise should realize that God, who tirelessly takes pity on the weak, will judge those acts of oppression and mete out appropriate punishment. It is the duty of the wise to act with compassion towards the oppressed. Wherever there is might, wherever there are two people, there is always this feeling of one-upmanship, that somehow I should display my might, my power over the other, especially when we deal with those who are in financially, power-wise, or other circumstances-wise, they are in a weaker position. They are in an oppressed position. That is when we should be compassionate. And when somebody is doing that kind of oppression, what we should do? Here, Bhagavan is saying, you should understand that those who are making the error will be punished by Ishvara. What does Bhagavan mean by that? That you don't indulge in the act of the negative thought of judging and punishing the oppressor. You leave that to God. In other scriptures also we find, you leave revenge to me. You don't take revenge. But what we should do instead? We should go to the help of the oppressed. That we can do. In any situation, we can do that without disturbing the oppressor in any way. Being assured that Ishvara is there to punish them. Now, as we do self-enquiry, as we practice self-enquiry, what happens is that we find Ishvara's presence directly there. That Ishvara is a reality. So far as we are all individuals, that there is Ishvara Shakti governing all of us is totally clarified through the practice of self-enquiry. How? Bhagavan says in one of the verses in Ulladu Narpadu that only after the first person arises, the second and third person arise. If you inquire into the truth of the first person, then that first person called ego rising out of the self will vanish. And as soon as the first person's root vanishes, the second and third persons also will vanish. What happens there is that now when I feel there are about 15 people or 17 people in this satsang, if I ask for whom is this feeling, for whom is this thought, for whom is this bhavana, that there are 17 people, it is for me. So far as I see 17 people, my I thought is outward turned and it takes the jiva form and it sees 16 other jivas. Whereas when I ask for whom is this thought, that 16 others are participating in this satsang, the answer will be, it is for me. When I ask who am I and put the attention on the source of the ego or the truth of the ego, what happens is that this seer seen situation collapses and the root Atma is held though with Bhavabala. Like that, when we go down the flow chart of life, we find that I, which has actually unified all the living beings. All the living beings' self is unified where? Is unified within us by a single I. Now, when the commands are coming, our prarabdha prakaram, the ordainer controls the destiny of the individuals remaining within each. Remaining within each living being, the thoughts are released by that Ishvara. From where? from that place where he has unified everybody, where anybody who is having a separate individual feeling will never be able to access or see. So their thoughts, whether he is a oppressor or the oppressed, their thoughts are all being released from a position deep down of unity, that they absolutely, who are in the fringes, they have absolutely no way they can change that or have control over it. When this is the case, in another shloka in Guru Vachaka, where Bhagavan would have said, why do you hit the snake? Should not, because its nature is created like that. Similarly, when we go to the flow chart and when we start experiencing, then we are made to open the eyes, because we cannot go against Ishvara's order. He makes us feel there are 17 people in the satsang. Okay, that is okay. You go ahead and speak, but have the understanding that the speaking and listening are all enabled by that one eye weekend. When this is so clear in Atma Ucharam practice, it becomes directly our experience that we are able to see that one eye, from where the good and the bad people, the oppressors and the oppressed are controlled. Now, therefore, why should we have negative attitude towards the oppressor? He is only an ajnani who feels that there is something to be attained by punishing himself. Because down there in the unity, is there a difference between the oppressor and the oppressed? That's why Bhagavan says, what you feel as you are giving to others, you are giving to yourself. So what is the instruction for the sadhaka? If possible, remain in that place where the second and third person do not arise. Where the second and third person do not be there. Otherwise, don't go into the negative action against oppressor. Instead, show compassion towards the oppressed. Those who are suffering, go and help them. One of the highest clarities in this matter would be given by Bhagavan to Ganapati Muni. In those days, what could have been more oppressive than the foreigners ruling over us? And most of the Indians did not even know that they were bound. That is why Gandhiji had to go around India 3 times to awaken that, see, you are bound. You are bound under this, in this dimension, to foreigners. And Ganapati Muni asks Bhagavan, it's very difficult to empathize how the situation would have been in those days. We easily talk of that so-and-so was a good person, so-and-so was not a good person in those days. It's very difficult to empathize. But Ganapati Muni is asking Bhagavan, such a great thing is there, such a great oppression is happening, that the whole of the nation is under the power of the foreigners. And should I not spend some energy in doing mantras towards India's independence? Is it not the same thing? It is the same thing. That the oppressor is there. To remove the oppressor, should I not use the mantra shakti? Bhagavan says, Ishvara is the greatest doer. Ishvara is the best doer. What is said in this verse? Whoever is the oppressor, don't bother about it. You understand that the justice to him will be meted out by Ishvara Shakti without fail. Same thing Ganapati Muni is told. In what context? The whole country is bound. And Ganapati Muni is asking, should I not do some mantras alongside Atma Vicharam? I will do Atma Vicharam. But along with that, to remove this oppression, to remove these great troublemakers, should I not do some mantra japas for the particular purpose? And Bhagavan's instructions are an eye-opener to us and a leading light to sadhana. He says, Ishvara is the best doer. India will be given independence at the right time by the Ishvara Shakti. But you do Atma Ucharam, that is enough. You go and find out the Atma Swarupa, the real self of Ishvara. That is more than enough, says Bhagavan. Now, what more can be told about this area? That you see some injustice to your mind, that is a great injustice happening. What is the course we have to adopt which will be conducive to our sadhana in reaching Bhagavan's feet, in reaching the self? Don't go after taking revenge or punishing the oppressor. If you feel like doing something, do something for the oppressed. That will not put you into a series of karmas. Give the help, finish with it, continue your holding the self and going towards the feet of Bhagavan. Never involve in the punishing or revenge taking against the others, because in that unified I, are they also not us? They have to be brought around by Ishvara's grace and not by the negative feelings of an individual who is powerless. So, having taken these instructions from Bhagavan, it is all guiding us to one place. It is all guiding us to the source of the I thought. When another thought arises, let us take that thought as the oppressor. And the I, which feels that that thought has something in it, is the oppressed, let us take. So don't do anything with the oppressor. Let go of that thought. Let go of the oppressor thought. And this I, which was feeling a slave and running after that thought, take it to the source by asking, for whom is this thought? This thought is for me. Who am I? Is taking the I thought to the source. There is no better sadhana that can be got in any dimension, in any world. The best thing that a Shishya can get and the best teaching that a Guru can give is only asking the Shishya to take to the truth of the I or the source of the I. Find the truth of the I with who am I, or find out the source of the I with whence am I. In practice, there will be no difference. We will sometimes hold the I with who am I, sometimes out of disturbance, out of feeling not so good, we'll be trying to go into the depths. From where does this I arises? Doesn't matter. Both are self-enquiry taught by Bhagavan. Bhagavan will be with us during that sadhana. So for the next 10 minutes or so, let us sit in Atmachar. You will set the time, Namaram. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Anma Bodham by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviram Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jnanamulam Gurur Mukti Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mantramulam Vakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripa Mokshamulam Guru Kripa. Ramana, we're doing Manana on Atmabodha. In the last satsang, we did Manana on verse number 27. Let us see do a little recap of what Bhagavan said in that. Mistaking oneself for the living being, like the rope mistaken for the serpent, one is overcome with fear. If one is known not as the living being, but as the Supreme Self, one becomes free from fear. Again, I'll read that. Mistaking oneself for the living being, like the rope mistaken for the serpent, one is overcome with fear. If one is known not as the living being, but as the Supreme Self, one becomes free from fear. The simile of the superimpositions of the snake on a rope explains the highest philosophical thought in Vedanta. When a rope is not apprehended as a rope, its non-apprehension leads to misapprehension of a snake and its attendant fear and anxiety. The cause for the misapprehension of the snake is therefore not the rope, but the non-apprehension of the snake. No sooner the rope is apprehended, the illusion of the snake vanishes. The fear and anxiety also gone. Similarly, the non-apprehension of the Supreme Self creates the misapprehension of the limited human being. Fear arises when there is a feeling of otherness or duality. You are afraid of someone or something other than yourself. But when you merge with the Supreme Self, there is no longer any duality or plurality. There is only one divinity. There is nothing to cause you fear, for there exists nothing other than the Self. Ignorance also causes fear. You fear darkness because you do not know what is around. When you switch on the light, you know the environment. Your fear vanishes. In the case of self-realization, you gain absolute knowledge. Ignorance is completely removed. Consequently, you become fearless. Another reason for your fear is your desires. As long as you entertain desires for the objects of the world, you are afraid of not getting them. When the objects of desires are acquired, you are afraid of losing them. The self-realized has no desires and therefore no fear. Today we'll do Manana on verse number 28. And as Sapna is not there for chanting, let me chant today. You can play the audio? Okay, play the audio. Sure.
आत्मावभासयत्येको बुद्ध्यादीनीन्द्रियाण्यपि दीपो घटादिवत् स्वात्मा जडैस्तैर्नावभास्यते आत्मावभासयत्येको बुद्ध्यादीनीन्द्रियाण्यपि दीपो घटादिवत् स्वात्मा जडैस्तैर्नावभास्यते.
Thank you, Sapna. Atma alone illumines the intellect, etc. Sense organs also, as light illumines spots, etc. One's own Atma is not illumined by these inert objects. Atma is pure consciousness which enables the sense organs to perceive, the mind to feel, and the intellect to think. Atma is pure consciousness which enables the sense organs to perceive, the mind to feel, and the intellect to think. The sense organs, mind, and intellect have no capacity to function by themselves. They are insentient. But when they come in contact with the Atman, they gain sentiency. Atma is the capacity in the equipments which makes them function in their respective fields. But Atma cannot be perceived by the sense organs, nor felt by the mind, nor conceived by the intellect. Atma is like the electrical energy which causes electrical gadgets to operate. Without electricity, none of the gadgets can function, but their functioning do not affect electricity. Electricity produces heat in a heater, but it is not heated by it. The illustration given in the verse is that of a lamp, illumining the pot and other objects around it. These objects by themselves have no capacity to illumine themselves. They can be seen only when the lamps light them. Atman is the enlivening factor in all instruments of experience. It is a subject that causes all experiences and not an object to be experienced. Hence the instruments of experience, namely the sense organs, mind and intellect, cannot experience the Atman. Then the question arises, how can the Atman be known or experienced? The following verse clarifies this doubt. So beautifully Bhagavan is trying to tell us here that Atman is the enlivening factor in all the instruments. So see, if you look at this mouth right now, which is, the tongue is moving, the lips are moving, and some sound is coming from the vocal cords. How is it all happening? And then so many of us are able to hear whatever Bhagavan is saying. How is it all happening? It's happening because of the self, because of the Atman, because of the intelligence within. Everything happens. That's what Swami Shivananda also says in the song. Find the knower, find the seer, find the taster, find the smeller. It's a very important thing. You should never forget this. It's not because of the nose that you smell. It's because of the Atman that you are able to smell. You're able to hear because of the Atman. So that is the Adhara. That is the real thing. That is the truth. Behind all these jada, all these things are jada. Because of that, so we should never lose sight of that. That's what they say, Atmanishto Bhavatvam. We should always be holding on to the self. When you hold on to the self, you are holding on to the truth. Then everything that happens, let it happen. It does not matter. So when you are truly surrendered to God, then what happens? You say that it's no more my will. It's all your will only. And then whatever happens, happens. Then you are holding on to God. So that's the fundamental thing in our sadhana that we need to do, is to hold on to the Atman, hold on to the pure consciousness. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Thank you.
Namo Ramana. Thank you. We will now have the sharing of Devikalutra Jnana Vichara Padalam by Dr. Kalarani Rengasami.
ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய. அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் அருணாச்சலம். Namo Ramana to all. With the abundance grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalutra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagavan in Tamil. And in the last satsang we saw a mumukshu who aims only for mukti need not give any importance to the regular vradas, japa, nama sankirtana, tirtha yatras, because those karmas are performed with mind. Only when there is a mind, there can be a thought. Thought of doing japa, yoga, etc. But a mumukshu has to turn his mind inwards, inside, and try to reach its source. The mind and the ego all arise from one source. If one merges in its source, the other two also merges in that same source. In the next two stanzas also, Bhagavan emphasizes this statement only. Samaya acharame chatrumindri tallai. Just ignore the acharas that has to be followed by the religion to which you belong, because along with the birth of a person, there comes the caste, religion also comes in. He is taking birth in some particular religion and caste. So, it is very much necessary and inevitable that he has to follow that. In some cases, it becomes very staunch. I remember one of my father's friend's house was very near to Kapalishwara temple in Chennai. His father actually sold that house and got a new house far away from Kapalishwara temple. The reason he said was, I am a Vaishnavite and do not want to hear the Shiva temple's bell, that too early in the morning. He said, it is like my death bell. People are there with such fanaticism. So Bhagavan says, leave behind all the acharas. Why? All these acharas, karmas will put you into trouble, bondage. Samattamam kanmam talayai amayumal Sangarpamum vigarpamum jadi tarumam sharnda Sangatayum thurat thallu. Leave alone all these acharas. When one does karma, it is absolutely necessary that he has to experience the fruits. Okay, good or bad, the fruits are being enjoyed, experienced. That is not the end. The problem starts there. The karma done by that person will induce him to do more karma, more and more karma, so that he will be drowned in that karma sagara. It is very difficult to come out of that sagara. When a person earns money, for example, and saves, he would be earning more, and will say, வினையின் விளைவு விளைவுற்று வித்தாய் வினைக்கடல் வீழ்த்திடும் முந்தி பெற. In Upadesa Undiyar, Bhagavan says, karma done will induce a person to do more and more karma and make him drown in the karma sagara, and then he cannot escape from rebirth at all. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. The next stanza also, Bhagavan says, palavidamai siddhigalum, siddhas, will be a hindrance to jnana abhyasa. It is really dangerous. Only if he escapes from these siddhis, he can realize mukti. Siddhis like anima, mahima are very powerful. There are actually 3 types. Padalana, which helps to show the things underground. Likewise, there are many karmas. So these are all siddhis. There are so many. A siddha purusha can burn a green tree, or he can green a dead tree. Likewise, there are many. Bhagavan says, once a sadhaka is caught in these siddhis, it is very difficult for him to come out. So, the mind of sadhaka should remain away from these siddhis. Thought comes and fall on him, though it comes and fall on him. Palavidamai siddhigalum padala munpol ilagum rasayanamum enba ulagir pratyakshamaagave petralum. Even if it comes of its own, sadhagan ul patral uruguvadave. The sadhakas should not catch hold of those siddhis. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Ramanacentre by Sri Ujwal Jagadeesh.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We were meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Vasishta Kavya Kanta Ganapati Muni, and they have been compiled in this format by Bhagavan Ramana himself and has given it to us in this format. We were meditating on the 33rd verse, where Ganapati Muni sings as follows. Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami. Timirānina kevalam vachobhi karuna panga vilokitaishadrenam hridaye pasaranti mardayantam bhagavantam ramanam gurum namami. Timirānina kevalam vachobhi karuna panga vilokitaishadrenam hridaye pasaranti mardayantam bhagavantam ramanam gurum namami. Ramana guruvige namana, Ramana guruvige namana. Kattaleya kevala vachanadindallade karuna katakshadinda haripa. Narara hridayava belagiva Shri Bhagavan Ramana Guruvige namana. Ramana Guruvige namana. Ramana Guruvige namana. Ganapati Muni speaks about Ramana's sweet vachana, his sweet voice, his sweet words. And he says, even before these sweet words appear from the mouth, the revered mouth of Bhagavan Ramana, his Kripa Kataksha comes first. Just like I'm just remembering the example of how lightning is seen first, and then comes the thunder. So the light travels faster than the sound. So Ramana, because he has done this supreme rule in the universe, he follows that rule. First, the lightning-like glance falls on the devotees. Muruganar Swami, in one of his Tiruvambavais, sings about this lightning-like gaze of Bhagavan Ramana, which melts even the hard, stone-like heart. It melts that heart, which is so hard like a stone. It melts that stone, and then it pours its grace. I remember of one story which happened in the presence of Bhagavan Ramana. Bhagavan Ramana usually used to dry his towel on a small thread which was tied in the hall. And while he was removing that towel which was put for drying, there was in that corner at the end of that thread, there was one small nest of a small sparrow. And when he pulled that towel, that small sparrow egg fell down and it cracked. And Ramana noticed this, and he quickly picked up that little broken egg and prayed to Arunachala, "Oh Arunachala, what great mistake have I done that I have caused hurt to this little creature which is not even born." And he quickly took a small piece of cloth from his own towel and made it wet, and then he covered that egg with that wet cloth and kept it back in that nest. And every few minutes, the devotees tell that Ramana used to go and take that small egg and see it with a lot of compassion, and also touch it with compassion and keep it back, and always thinking about, "Oh, I have done this mistake of breaking this small egg." Was thinking about that egg constantly. And after a few days, Ramana noticed that the crack in the egg was filled, and within a few days a small little sparrow came out of that egg. And then Ramana was so thrilled, and he used to call all the devotees, says, "Oh, look at that egg which had a crack. Now from that egg has become all right, and this little sparrow has come out of this egg." That is the power of the compassion of Bhagavan Ramana, which flows to all beings, not only human beings, but to all creatures. And Ramana is showering his grace, just like how a guru gives the Diksha to the student. Ramana gave that little sparrow, the Nayana Diksha of seeing it, of Sparsha Diksha of touching it, and also the Chinta Diksha. It is told that it is the tortoise which lays the egg. It gives the Chinta Diksha to hatch the eggs. It will hatch the eggs in the shore, and it goes back to the sea. And it is thinking about the egg in the sea. So just by thinking, it is passing its warmth to that eggs, and at the right time the eggs hatch, and all the little ones, once they hatch, they move from the shore to the sea to meet its mother. That is the tortoise Chinta Diksha. And the birds, we know that they lay the egg and they sit on the egg to give the warmth. So they give this Sparsha Diksha to hatch the egg. And the fishes are known to give Nayana Diksha. They lay the eggs and they keep seeing that egg. Just by their sight, their glance, they are giving that warmth, and the little fishes emerge from those eggs. So Ramana is like that mother who, with all these compassionate ways, he is protecting us and he is giving us the right warmth so that we blossom and we are born into this world of jnana. So Ramana, not only by his speech but also by his glance, gives that very same upadesha that he gives by speech. We all know that one devotee who had lost his parents and was in great sorrow, and he came and reported this to Bhagavan Ramana and was full of tears, and he prayed to Bhagavan, Bhagavan, is it important that one offers the last rites and the shraddham which is done every year? Is it necessary? Because it is a way of showing our respect and remembering our parents. Is it necessary? Asked that devotee. And Ramana assured, yes, it is important that we respect our parents and we give the right rituals that is required for them. But he continued and he told, if you consider yourself as this body, then the mother who has given birth to this body is supreme. So you need to take care of them and they give the right maryada to them, the right respect to them. But are we the body? The body is constantly changing and we are not in control of our body. So we are not the body. Then who are we? Are we the mind? Are we the ego? Then find out who is the mother of this mind or the ego, and find that mother and abide in her. That is the true respect that you are giving to the mother, who is the Chinmayi, who is the self, who is shining within. So this Ramana spoke with his sweet words and consoled that devotee and made him understand that one needs to give importance to our parents and give the right respect. But more important than that is to understand our own true nature, from where this I arises, this I-ness arises, and merge at its source. That is the only way that we can pay respects not only to our mother, but every mother in the world, not only every mother in the world, but to every being, everything in the world. So this Ramana spoke with his silence, but Ramana, just by being as he is inspiring the seekers of truth to get back to the self. Sadhu Swami in his song says, Amma Arunachalathai Parai Summa Irukkude Adu Pola Mandulasayadirukka Asai Perukkude. Look Amma at this Arunachala. Arunachala is not different from Ramana. Oh Amma, look at Ramana. He is just simply sitting, Summa Irukkude. He is there simply abiding as he is. And just by seeing him, the desire, a great desire to be like that, to be still, to be in silence, we are inspired to be in that state which Ramana was ever abiding in, to teach us this truth, to make us understand that no action, no words is necessary. The only thing that is necessary is to be yourself. That is the paramount duty of every human being, says Bhagavan Ramana, to teach us this truth. Ramana, with his compassionate glance, which is beautiful form and sweet words, has come into our lives. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Ramana Ashtottara, which is written by Vishwanatha Swami, and shared by Prashantha.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self, manifest as Ramana, we in this part of the satsang are meditating on the Ramana Ashtottara Shatanamavali composed by Vishwanatha Swami. There is also the Ramana Ashtottara Stotram. It is in the form of a poem, and that is divided into this 108 names or namas by which Bhagavan is praised or addressed. These namas, each one of them describe in the earlier part the story of Bhagavan. They take us through the story of Bhagavan, and in the later part where we are now entering, we find that they are more connected with the qualities of Bhagavan. But of course, these qualities are also related to Bhagavan's life, if we see. So we have this nama, we had gone through the namas, Chinmudrine Namaha. And then we have come to Triguna-tikaha, one who is beyond the three gunas, who is Atigaha, who is transcending the three gunas. In Ramana Panchakam, Satyamangalam Venkatesh says, Mugguna Tadayatravan, he who is not obstructed by the three gunas. So what are these three gunas? These three gunas are Sattva, which is the purest guna, the purest quality, then Rajas and Tamas. Sattva is a state of equilibrium. It is a peaceful state. It is a pure state. That is Sattva, goodness. And then we have Rajas. Rajas is full of activity. With Rajas, what happens? In this activity, there will be a lot of vigor, there will be a lot of power, but there will also be excitement, there will be anger. All those feelings also come. Valor, like that. Rajas is full of power, whereas Sattva is a state of equilibrium. And then we have Tamas. Tamas refers to sleep, dullness, and it also refers to many of the negative qualities like jealousy, like hatred. All these are tamasic. They are many negative qualities. So there is the negative, there is the active, and there is the calm repose of the sattva. But then one has to see that why is Bhagavan called Triguna Atigaha? Why should he be beyond the calm of sattva as well? Because if that sattva is a quality, if it is a guna, if it is associated with the identity, I am a good person, I want to be a good person, I will be a truthful person, I will be a kind person. So all these are good qualities, but they are all associated with this identity. However, Bhagavan has no identity. There are no boundaries. So we find that Ganapati Muni in Ramana Chatvarimshat, he will say, no, this is not a guna for you. O Ramana, these are not your qualities. This, all this goodness, compassion, they are not a quality for you. Na karuna guna ramana tava vidam pate ramana hridaya tejasa ramana sahaja bhaivate. It is natural to you. Karuna, na karuna, gunaha. It is not your quality. You are beyond gunas. You're not bound by any quality. You're not limited by anything. So it is the natural splendor of your heart. Hridaya tejasa sahaja bhaivate. And Muruganar Swami, he says, Bhagavan, you give shade, you give love, compassion to everyone who comes to you. Like how? Like a tree. Like a tree which gives shade to every comer by nature, not by choice. It is not by choice. A tree does not say, I will be good to this person. I will be good. This man is actually cutting my branches. But even then, let it be. I will forgive him. That would be Sattva Bhava. Forgiveness is a Sattva Bhava. Compassion is a Sattva Bhava. We say Bhagavan is compassionate. But Bhagavan is not compassionate the way we would be compassionate when we have identity. For us, we are conscious of being compassionate. We are conscious of being kind. For Bhagavan, there is no consciousness about himself at all. There is no identity at all. He does not think I have to be this way or that way. The grace automatically flows from him. We do not think we have to be kind to ourselves. We will automatically be kind to ourselves. We do not think that we have to breathe. We breathe naturally. In the way that we breathe naturally, Bhagavan's compassion is natural like that. Because many people do write. When they write about Bhagavan, they say, out of compassion, out of kindness, though he did not have any need to retain the body, he retained the body. We say that, right? So what is that compassion? We need to understand that it is not a motive. It is not Bhagavan, when Vishwanath Swami uses these adjectives at this point of time in the biography of Bhagavan, he is also pointing out to us that this entire biography of Bhagavan, though it is completely because of Karuna, yet it is totally untouched by anything that is in the realm of duality. Duality means multiplicity also. So it is not touched by any of the three gunas. In our own sadhana, if we see, if we are normally, they say the progression of spiritual practice, the sadhana is from sattva you move towards rajas, from tamas you move towards rajas, and from rajas you move towards sattva, and then you have to transcend the sattva. Become good, become better, learn to help others, do good, do service. So from being selfish, tamas is pure selfishness, rajas may be activity which is partly selfish and could be partly oriented towards others. Sattva is purely good. It is purely for the sake of righteousness, for the sake of good in itself, for the sake of others, serving others, not thinking of one's own good even in the least bit. That is sattva. So the mind is purified when it goes to sattva. But even sattva has to be crossed when one gets into jnana. Everything has to be dropped. For whom is the sattva? For whom is the rajas? For whom is the tamas? Bhagavan in self-enquiry helps us to reach this point of trigunatigaha. Whatever we praise Bhagavan as, that we can also keep as an ideal for us to reach. So when we say Bhagavan is trigunatigaha, it means that we too must reach that point of crossing all the gunas. We need not hold on to any guna. We should not hold on to any guna, no matter how beautiful, no matter how wonderful, no matter how pure it looks, because it has to be transcended. Swami Virajananda would often give an example of a pole vault. He would say that a pole vaulter carries his pole in order to be able to jump to a great height. But if he thinks that I must carry my pole across when I jump, neither he nor the pole will go. He used to give this example even about self-enquiry. Even self-enquiry must be ultimately dropped. Even self-enquiry must be ultimately dropped. Self-enquiry helps us to get beyond all the other barriers, all the other limitations, all the other identifications, because we can ask every time, for whom is this? Who is attached to this tamas? Who is attached to this rajas? Who is feeling that I must do good to the world? Because towards whom is sattva? There is duality. Towards whom is the sattva? It is towards the world. It's towards another. But Bhagavan says there is no other. If we think there is another person, there is duality. If we think there is a world to whom we must do good, there is duality. Then should we be completely selfish? We will not be the only ones who are being selfish. Because who is not selfish? Which activity is not selfish? Is not sattva also selfish? Sattva, even if we say we are doing something purely for the sake of others, who is the one who is doing for the sake of others? Who gets satisfied by doing for others, by helping others? It is I who find satisfaction. It is for my satisfaction that I help others as well. It is because I feel related to those others. I feel related to the world. I feel I need to help the world. Therefore, I am doing good to the world. It all comes back to one's own satisfaction, ultimately. But what is the difference between doing high, very great good to the world and abiding in the self? Why should one abide in the self? Why not do good to the world? Because self-abidance is the highest good that one can bestow on the entire universe. One who abides in the self not only frees himself or herself, but frees everyone else as well. See, whatever one achieves is usually for the upliftment of all those around us. If one is relatively calm, then people around us are also impacted by that calm or that peace. So when we are in absolute bliss, we will see that Bhagavan would draw everyone into that bliss. He could establish everyone in that bliss, and he still does so. He still establishes in bliss in the self anyone who turns to him, anyone who turns to his teachings. By the power of what does he do this? By the power of his self-abidance, and now by the fact that he is the very self. So when one turns back to the self, one is not only crossing the boundaries, all the boundaries for oneself, one is helping everyone else if everyone else exists. If there is a world that exists, that world is helped. If there is a universe that exists, that universe is helped. If anybody else other than oneself exists, those people are helped by abiding in the self. So it's important for us to understand that while it's laudable to move towards good qualities, since it is best to abide in the self, one must keep on holding on to the self, trying to get back to the self. That should be the ultimate aim, should be to get back to one's true nature. All other goals that we have for ourselves can be supportive of that ultimate highest purpose that we keep for ourselves. And by Bhagavan's grace, that grace will always support us in our endeavor. Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Aksharamanamalai. अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल மொட்டையடித்தென்னை வெட்ட வெளியில் நீ நட்டமாடின என் அருணாச்சலா மோகம் தவிர்த்து உன் மோகம் அமைத்துமென் மோகம் தீராயன் அருணாச்சலா மௌனியாய் கற்போல் மலராதிருந்தால் மௌனமிதாமோ அருணாச்சலா எவனின் வாயில் மண்ணினையட்டி என் பிழை பொழித்த தருணாச்சலா யாரும் அறியாதென் மதியினை மருட்டி எவர் கொலை கொண்ட தருணாச்சலா ரமணன் என்றுரைத்தேன் ரோசம் கொளாதெனை ரமித்திட செய்யவா அருணாச்சலா ராப்பகலில்லா வெறுவெளி வீட்டில் ரமித்திடுவோம் வாருணாச்சலா லட்சியம் வைத்தருளஸ்திரம் விட்டென்னை பக்ஷித்தாய் பிராணனோடருணாச்சலா லாபநீஹ பர லாபமில் என்னை உற்று லாபமெனுற்றனை அருணாச்சலா வரும்படி சொலிலை வந்தென் படியள வருந்திடும் தலை விதி அருணாச்சலா வாவென்றகம் புக்குன் வாழ்வருளன்றே என் வாழ்விழந்தேன் அருளருணாச்சலா விட்டிடிற்கட்டமாம் விட்டிடாதுனை உயிர் விட்டிட அருள் புரி அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. Namo Ramana. We conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan. The Ashtottara puja will be done by Ujwal Jagadeesh at Ramana Center for Learning's Meditation Hall. The Ashtottara will be chanted by Vaibhavji, Prarthana, Uma and Ashwini. We conclude with the Arati song. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्री रमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः ॐ कल्पसम्रम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्द्रशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहास श्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदशलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईड्याय नमः
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः ॐ सौम्याय नमः ॐ आत्मवते नमः ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः ॐ
ॐ महाभागाय नमः ॐ
मातृमुक्तिविदायकाय नमः ॐ विनताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ हृच्चान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणात् बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्री अष्टोत्तर शतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्थादात्म्य भावं गतः निष्ठस्वगभीर नित्य तपसा लोकान् पुनस्यैकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तर ज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि। नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शि। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि। नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಯೇ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡು ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರ್ಣ ನಮೋ